to another great and exciting episode of GMTV. I am your host, Kinma Osrefilwe, popularly known as Gogo Moyo. You already know, if you're seeing me on your screens, today is Friday. I got what you need. Tell me what you need. I got what you need. Well, before we start getting into all the great stuff that I have for you today, remember to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon for notifications. Today we're discussing hygiene. What about it? I don't think a lot of you guys actually understand that hygiene goes further than just perhaps your self-care, how you look like, how you present yourself, but it also goes as deep and intrinsic as on a mind level. Because largely of how we think or how much we're affected by the world around us, we portray it in our everyday life, including how we treat each other, how we treat our environment, how we take care of it, and eventually how it gives back the same energy back to us. I'll be going through talking about home, self, as well as the mind, and how each of those have their own specific and unique level of hygiene that goes into it. These are the basic principles or even basic practices of healers that we should adhere to, be mindful of. For instance, our homes. Any sacred place, which I'd like to believe our homes are, would need for us to behave in a certain way towards them. Like how in other cultures, they leave their shoes outside because they're entering a sacred place. This is a place where it's filled with love, our families, our dreams. We protect everything in these homes, and we stamp on many different areas and surfaces with our shoes. And we don't want to be moving bad energies into our home, unwillingly or not. So it's very important for us to realize how we also add to the energies that we have in our homes. Something else we may not be mindful of is how we present ourselves when we are wanting to connect with our guides and our ancestors. For instance, have you washed your hands before starting your prayer session? Have you fixed your area? Have you mopped it, perhaps cleaned it? To make sure that it has a great energy, a good smell to it. It's even inviting to you, the person who's going to use it. So remember to wash your hands before you attempt to sit down in your sacred space at your altar in Dumbeni or trying to speak to your ancestors. Something else we may take for granted is how we approach our sacred spaces. For instance, have you ever thought of washing your hands before you go and attempt to pray? Meditate. Because our environment and how we actually meet it adds greatly to the influence of energy. The chi is how other people would call it. Something else that's also quite important is having imsamo ekamreni. I mean, if you're going to be in a relationship or you're still on the dating scene, it's not advisable that you place abantu abadala in your bedroom because you still want to be frisky with the one that you love. These are private and intimate moments that you share, and I don't think you want to do them in front of imadluzwagini. There should be a way in which we are mindful of our influences to the spaces around us, and some of them just really need a level of consciousness for you to be aware of yourself and what it is that means the world to you. If abantu abadala are important to you, you're going to make sure that you lay their spaces correctly. You put the correct items, you continuously and constantly clean the spaces, refresh the space. You cannot be wanting to go to the place to get recharged in terms of energy, but you struggle with its basic maintenance. It's like a plant. It won't live if you are not going to go and feed it. Basic water, getting sunshine and sunlight on your plant is going to help it reach its maximum potential. It can't bloom if there's no self-care towards it. Moving over to self. Have you guys noticed that whenever a beautiful and well-kept sangoma or inyanga, noma umuntu osebenza ngabantu shows up on platforms such as TV, people, their first comments are, wow, he's so clean, she's so well-spoken, as if we cut from a different cloth. Unfortunately, we have added to the stereotypes around us because we're so caught up in the work that we do, we don't ever stop and think, how am I presenting myself? How am I representing my ancestors? It's important, much like how you grew up being told to brush your teeth twice a day. There's a purpose to that. It takes care of your basic hygiene for your teeth. Even when you wake up in the morning, you won't confidently go over to a client and start engaging them if you haven't done the basic care. Anything that you feel that is important to do for your clients has to start with self. As a Sangoma myself, I indulge and I love taking part of these experiences of taking care of myself, my spirit, holistically. All those things, some may be uncomfortable, but the feeling that I get afterwards is priceless. I feel like my energy was restored and I can just go on for time because I've taken care of my source. I've replugged myself into the ground that I'm yearning to be enriched by. It's important for us to also sage. Take mpepo yako and literally take it all over around your body while it burns and speak away all the evil ills. As much as you do it in your home, you can do it for yourself too. All these practices make up us, izangoma, people that are first point of entry when they want to learn about our industry. As much as I may be filled with beads all over my body, or I may dress myself a particular way in representation of my ancestors, I still have to keep a certain level of hygiene. If I'm in terms of I have to get really close to that person. If I have not taken care of myself, I will make that person uncomfortable. I'm going to embarrass myself and potentially send that person packing. As much as they may believe in my strength and my ability, they won't really come back to me in a hurry or tell the next person about me. Take care of yourself holistically. Look beautiful. Rise up to the occasion. Remember that you matter too. Have your own collection of items that you use in your home that add to enriching your skin, your tone, how lovely you smell. Because we are the forefront. We are the people that people engage with. If I'm not approachable, I can't sell anyone into the idea of being ubungoma, and proudly so, because I am not proud. So be exactly that. Learn the basic practices of healers so that you can also understand that everything starts with self. And now we get to the most important part, our minds. Have you ever noticed, or maybe let me put a scenario to you. You are heated in a discussion or an argument with someone. Whether you care about them or not, it's irrelevant. And you are feeling it's important to express your thoughts and your case and to, add the facts of why you're right or why it should be done in a specific way. That fight stops. Everybody goes home. Only to find that while you're driving home, you are still stuck on that. You're literally verbalizing stuff that you could have said to add on to the conversation that you had 5 minutes ago. Without you realizing that you have not left the moment. What do I mean by this? What I'm trying to get at is we don't understand that our sense of our minds infiltrates and filters into all the other areas of our lives. If my mindset is not right, if I feel like I have not gotten over certain things that have happened to me, I can't fully be in the spaces that I'm in. If perhaps I had just come out of that fight, even if it's something that happened yesterday, and I wake up in the morning and I look at my Twitter feed and I go through my mentions and someone says something to me, I'm not even trying to read for understanding, I'm reading to react. Because I'm still caught up in what I was feeling and experiencing yesterday, that I feel like I just want to get rid of everybody and put everybody in their place. Only to find that person says to you, sorry ma'am, I think you're misunderstanding what I'm trying to say to you. This is what I actually mean. Now it's actually quite embarrassing because you've shown that you have no level of the capacity of reasoning, of being able to put your emotions aside. Because there you are, you really went guns blazing onto a person that wasn't even meaning any harm. How many times have we done that in our lives, where we actually portray the things that we feel internally onto the people around us? And I know social media has a lot of bullies and people who feel like, if I'm not going to be well with myself, I can't be in this camp alone. I have to be here with other people. Whether someone does something great and you feel like, I'm not going to celebrate, I'm not going to retweet nor like, or even whatever, forget this person. And all of a sudden you start muting them just because they're doing well. That goes to show that your level of your mind is not at a place where it can actually feed you in a positive way. From there, only bad things can come, because you're not going to be able to fully be present in the things that are happening around you. It's going to steal your joy. It's going to take away opportunities and moments where you could actually thrive or collaborate with other people. But because you're always in competition with someone else, wittingly or not, either way, it translates in a different way and in a negative way. I think it's important for us to be mindful and actually stop and self-actualize, self-realize. What are the things that actually bother me? What are my triggers? So you can actually go into your feed and mute certain keywords, because you realize that every time you see them, they actually irk you. They go and they disturb the peace that you have actually gone on to make. Other ways that are very important for us to be mindful of ourselves is, once we reach those points, bring ourselves to a place of grounding. Mediums such as yoga, meditation, taking baths, praying, anything that's going to bring you back to your belief systems are always important for us to tap into, because they teach us about things that perhaps we're not seeing. If I'm meditating over something, I'm going to speak about it. I'm going to perhaps write it on a piece of paper because it bothers me, and I'm realizing that it bothers me. Whether it's a relationship that went really, really bad and someone affected you to the deepest part of your core. They've moved on. They didn't even realize. But to you, this thing is eating away at you daily. Whereas you see couples on the timeline and you are already so upset. You leave comments like, "Okusalayo nizohlukana." It makes no sense, right? Because of the beautiful energy that's coming from these pictures. What would trigger you to actually leave a message like that? But again, it's reflective of self. Because there's certain levels of us that we're not really ready to address and to face. We're good at advising other people, telling them, maybe tweak this, change that. Have you ever thought of? But we are really afraid of ourselves. We never want to upset ourselves, but we're so triggered when other people do, which is very ironic, because if I cannot face myself, then who essentially am I to the people around me? What will I be known for in the community of the people that spend time with me? I'm great at advice, but I'm actually crap at taking it? That is a very bad approach to have towards life. So, on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, take stock. Be mindful of yourself. Randomly ask people, please tell me something about myself that perhaps that you feel that I don't know. And this is a consequence-free area. Anything you say to me, I will take it with grace. If you're afraid of doing that, ask the people that you live with. Or maybe ask a question in such a way that it opens up how they received you. It's a great place for learning, because you don't realize exactly how you are. I know I've got one of those faces where I seem like I've got my shutter doors are closed, as if I'm unapproachable. Some people call it resting bitch face. I don't realize that I'm looking unapproachable. To me, I'm comfortably that way. I don't feel like I'm sending negative energies out to other people. But until someone actually lets me know, then I'm like, oh snap, maybe perhaps I should smile more, or engage more with people in conversation, or maybe add more smiley emoticons when I do type out messages, because perhaps my tone seems like it's not coming across in a positive way. It's great for you to be reflective. Let the people around you be able to teach you about you, as much as you're openly there to teach them about themselves. Our mind is important. That's where everything stems from, including all the way down to if wenyanga and you have abantwana bamadlozi come to you and ask you for ukuhlakanipha nokukhula. If you are not in the right frame of mind, it's going to show. If I can share something, when I had my first group of children, I don't even think they know this about me. They have maybe their version of how I was towards them. But I was very afraid. I was very insecure because my whole entire life, I had learned how to be isangoma, someone who would read the bones and divine, come up with solutions, put people through insebenzo, and work on the particular problem. I never actually thought one day I would have to be the one who's the teacher and who has to now share my information and my learnings with them. So I didn't realize that I was projecting towards them my fears of maybe feeling inadequate or not being able to always have the answers. And you know how we are, Mastwasa. We have an answer for everything. A why, a how, a why is it important? We have all those questions. Sometimes we don't realize that the questions are not meant to go to abokobela wetu. We don't know that. But they're going to come as we go through the lessons and we go through the processes of Uktwasa. So I also didn't realize that I was perhaps projecting a certain energy towards them. Until it ended and everyone went back home. Everybody began to ubukhosi babo. And then now I got a chance to reflect. For instance, have you noticed that Kona abo Gogo, abo Izangoma, perhaps abo Kobela, who have said that they have had so many children abakhulisile, but every time banomsebenzi amadlozi, they don't show up? What is the reason behind that? Is it because of how we treat our children while they are being taught by us, that they never actually feel that it's important to come when we actually need them to help them raise other children or see how we're actually doing it? Because they're no longer the subject, but they actually get to bear witness in terms of the processes. We don't realize how we affect other people. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm an evil person or I'm unkind. It just means that I'm not stopping enough times to self-reflect, to take stock and see how are my decisions affecting the next person? How are my decisions affecting the learning processes that we're trying to create? This is important, and so is meditation. Be able to stop and reflect. When something happens to you, it's important for you to come back and ask and reflect and see exactly how you're influencing the situation. That's how we all grow. It's okay. It's embarrassing once in a while, but eventually it grows character, and you also get to see why you've been appointed for the role that you've been appointed for, because it's actually bigger and a lot more bigger than ourselves, and ourselves are essentially ego. And abantu, as abantu basebenza ngabantu, we're not allowed to have an ego. We're servants. We're people who are sent to come add light and bring solutions. There's no space for ego here. And that's why today, I don't mind sharing such stories about myself and my learnings, because if I don't, then I don't get to learn from my experiences. Why would the mind and what I'm talking about make it to the hygiene list? It's because it's the crux of everything. This was the first part of our two-part series on hygiene. Before you go, next week I'm going to be talking about our sacred spaces as well as the relationships that we keep romantically. Have you ever dated a sangoma? Well, we're going to be talking about that. Thank you for tuning in. I have been your host with the most, Gogo Moyo. Togozan.